Hey everyone, so I thought perhaps today we could talk about state capture, what it actually means and how it actually manifests itself. Contrary to what you read in the corporate media and what you hear from politicians, state capture is in fact not just cronyism and the Guptas and Zuma working together to extract wealth from this country. That is a consequence of the real state capture. So I'm going to argue that the real state capture is actually based within the National Democratic Revolution, which is actually a process whereby South Africa becomes a socialist state and is done in various stages. So the first stage was the Nelson Mandela stage, where you get legitimacy as a new government. You speak about reconciliation. You speak about human rights. You speak about the great constitution. And Nelson Mandela became one of the most famous people in the world by a large margin. So you get a lot of legitimacy. You go on Oprah, you go meet President Bill Clinton, and people like you. The UN invites you to speak. So you get the ANC has a lot of legitimacy as a new government of South Africa. After legitimacy, what happens is then you get to control the key aspects and institutions of the state, and this is done through the policy of cadre deployment. So if you don't know what cadre deployment is basically the fact that every state institution has to have someone affiliated to the ANC within it. So if you look at today, the CEOs of most state-owned enterprises are ANC acolytes. Eskom, Transnet, Sanrail, name a SOE and you'll see an ANC acolyte on the boards or as a director of there. So you control the state through cadre deployment, and that includes the NPA, that includes SARS, that includes the state-owned enterprises, that includes judges, that includes Parliament, of course. All the ministries are ANC people. No minister is a member of an opposition party, unlike most other democracies. So they control the state through deploying their people there, through cadre deployment, and then they try to control the corporate sector through BEE under the guise of transformation. So if you look at most corporates around South Africa, a lot of members of the board of these corporates are ANC members. You had someone like Sito Pichanga, who was CEO of Anglo or Anglo Gold or one of those, I can't remember. Cyril Ramaphosa, through Shanduka Investments, was on the board of many dozens of corporations in this country. That is not an accident. And it works both ways. Corporations would love to have ANC acolytes within them to get a lot of the patronage and a lot of the contracts with the state. So it works both ways. There is a sort of crony capitalism that flows both ways, I'm afraid to say. So the corporates are not innocent in this regard whatsoever. So you control the state, you control the corporates through respectively cadre deployment and through BEE under the guise of transformation. So you have legitimacy, you capture the state, and then the goal after that is to impose socialism, which is what they're busy with right now. So obvious one, expropriation without compensation, the national health insurance, which will make your doctor a civil servant, essentially. The mining charter, where they expropriate 30% of your shares as a mining company to give to one of their cronies. What else? And now, lately in the manifesto, they're going to force your pension funds to invest in the state-owned enterprises like Eskom, thereby expropriating that percentage of your pension fund for their own benefit. So that is the real state capture. The real state capture is about the ANC controlling the entire state and imposing a socialist regime in the vein of Venezuela. The good thing for us is that the ANC is actually completely incompetent. So a little catchphrase that I use on the podcast is that we are not Venezuela because the ANC is too incompetent to impose it, which is true to a large degree. Our army is terrible. There's no real police force. It's impossible to actually enforce many of these policies. So imagine if expropriation without compensation happens and they actually wish to expropriate a farm or something like that. If the farmer has a few friends and they defend that farm with firearms, I suspect that they will win. and that will destroy the legitimacy of the ANC. That's why they're playing a very fine game with the definition of expropriation, like compensation. So that is, in essence, what state capture is. It's the ANC taking over the government, the ANC taking over the corporations to impose socialism. The only reason we're not Venezuela is because they are too incompetent to impose it, because you need a good army and a good police force and bought judges, which we have none of those things. Maybe bought judges in an ideological way, not in a bribery way. So yeah, that's state capture. So I mean, let me know what you think, because if you want more information, I'll link below articles about the NDR. And very importantly, I think Anthea Jeffrey wrote a book a couple of years ago about the NDR, and a talk at the Free Market Foundation last year on the NDR. So I'll link all of those in the description below. But in the comments, let me know what you think about my thesis. And yeah, subscribe and whatever, press the bell and give your mother's credit card details to follow us on YouTube. Thank you. All the best. Ciao.